So you can see how great is the number of homoerotic men to whom intercourse with a woman is as disgusting as intercourse with a man would be to the ordinary heteroerotic male, and how great the number of women who look upon intercourse with a man as disgusting and degrading, but who find their complete sexual satisfaction with some member of their own sex. So much for numbers. Now, how does it happen that homoerotic men and women exist? Just how it happens, whether it is the result of some impeded development, like the malformation of the genital organs, or whether it is a natural variation of type, we do not know. But one thing we may be sure: homoeroticism is a biological fact. A woman is born with homoerotic desires. She is no more responsible for having them than she's responsible for having red hair instead of black. She is born that way. She's not a pariah, not an outcast. She has not acquired her type of reaction by evil sexual habits or by long periods of sexual excess. She may be the chastest of all chaste virgins. She may never have experienced any sexual reaction at all. But until she dies, she will be not man-loving, but woman-loving. That is the first thing that you must tell to your homoerotic parishioners, patients, or friends, when they come to you in great anguish of mind, terrified because they're not like other women, not like other men. It is a terrible thing to realize that there is something, a very powerful something, in your sex life that is tabooed, persecuted, cursed by others as inherently evil and utterly disgusting. You must make such persons understand that they are neither outcasts nor debauchees, neither criminals nor pariahs. Make them realize that they are not responsible for their sexual desires, but they are responsible for the way in which they allow these desires to translate themselves into action. Tell them that their type of love may be, if they will, just as high, just as ideal as the love of Dante for Beatrice, just as constructive in its results as the love of the noblest knight for the lady that he serves. It all lies with them, just as it does with all of us, for we are all responsible for what we create out of the rough material of our sexual desires. Above all, make them accept their type of reaction, their homoeroticism. If they pretend that it is not there, if they attempt to push it into the background of their minds, then, later on in life, when some unexpected temptation comes, when their powers of resistance have been rubbed thin, the repressed urge may break out in almost irresistible force and may engulf them in some tragedy that will ruin their lives and cut them off from possible spheres of usefulness and of service. The only way to deal with homoeroticism is to accept it, to look upon it, if you please, as a kind of handicap, and by God's help, to use it constructively, to make it into an achievement. It can be done. I have seen it done over and over again. Now, I read you this because I'm trying to give you the opposite of all the pressures that are going on in this country to persecute homosexuality. Now, let us be quite honest. There is a group of psychologists who believe that homosexuality is completely acquired and therefore can be deacquired. They take the opposite view of Dr. Oliver. The reason I take Dr. Oliver's point of view is because with all the statements that homosexuality is acquired, they never show you any cases of anyone who has been cured. None. It is unrealistic. It is sinful to persecute people for what they cannot help. I bring up this subject because of the ignorance, the lies that go on, causing so much pain and sorrow and difficulty. Sit in my office for a week and see what I mean. And that's why I wanted you to get another man's very strong point of view on this particular subject. And there we will leave it. But please understand that all people have a little bisexuality in them. I once said this to my students. One fellow raised his hand. He said, "I'm trisexual." I said, "What's that?" He said, "I'll try anything once." Now, finally, let's look at some of the problems of the sex life of the married person. Now, the sex life of married people should, if you've been brought up properly, if your attitudes have been properly developed, if your understanding about sex is wholesome, should offer no problems at all. If the little ball is a healthy one, you won't have any of the difficulties. Men must be trained to consider a woman's needs. A woman must learn how to cultivate love in marriage. By the way, may I tell you about a Jewish man who was having dinner at the Steak Pit restaurant here on Sunrise Highway. When sitting at his table, they asked him if they could sit down a Chinaman who came in. There was no room. They sat the Chinaman down. They got discussing love and sex and marriage. And the Chinaman said to this Jewish man, he said, you know, you Jews, as well as the Americans, you have no concept of making love. You're hurry up, quick, hurry up, eat and run. But look at us Chinese. We're slow, we're delicate. When we court a woman, first we bring her flowers, candy, we caress, fondle her. That's the way we make love. We take our time. Why don't you try it? He said, my wife will be surprised if I change suddenly. He says, try it, try it. He said, you know, it's a good idea. Tonight I think I'll try it your way. When he got home that night, he came in with a box of candy, flowers. Instead of rushing to make love to his wife, he handed her the flowers. Then he gave her the candy. He caressed her, fondled her. And just as he was about to kiss her, his wife said, just a minute, Sam, tell me, where did you learn to make love like a Chinaman? In addition to learning to respect a woman's needs and how to cultivate love, we must learn how to restrict fertility in marriage. It is a very important, legitimate thing to learn how to restrict your family to the numbers in which you can support them intelligently and well. It is wrong for a person to go on having child after child that he's unable to give proper advantages to, and to realize, too, that sex will go on not just for the purpose of reproduction. The sex problem of the unmarried is, of course, entirely unsolved. There's a lot of literature, but there's no solution. It is therefore practiced underground, in hotel rooms, in brothels, with prostitutes. It is a practice that leads to as much unhappiness as it does to happiness. The great, great need in our lives today is education that will enlighten, that will help bring about a solution, that will strip away hypocrisy and taboos. Now, you can all help to do that. Not in the schools, because the schools teach nothing about it. They're still under the fig leaf idea. They're still teaching you how to diagram a complex sentence. I wonder if you could take a lesson from this story. There was a great Shah who was very wealthy and very powerful. And the only duty he had was once a year, he had to go out on the balcony of his palace and give a speech to his people. But he hated to do it. And he looked for all sorts of excuses to get out of it. One year he came out on the balcony and he said, my people, do you know what I'm about to say to you? They said, no, great Shah, we do not. He said, well, then I cannot speak to such stupid people. And he went back inside. The following year he came out, he said, my people, do you know what I'm about to say to you? They said, yes, great Shah, we do. He said, well, then there's no need in my saying it. He went back inside. The third year when he came out, he said, my people, do you know what I'm about to say to you? This time the people were ready. They said, great Shah, some of us do and some of us do not. He said, let those who do tell those who do not. I hope you too will learn to tell those who do not. Thank you very much.